Hello and welcome to Nikolai's Genetics Lessons 2-3 in the Pedigree. So this person below has two brothers with hemophilia A, a bleeding disorder that is inherited as X-linked recessive trait. What is the risk of hemophilia for her children? As usual, I recommend you to pause video here, try to solve this problem on your own first, and when you would be ready you can run video again and you can compare your answer with my answer and explanation. First of all, let's start with analyzing what we see here on this pedigree. We know that these two people are affected. That means they have defective X chromosome. So I would use red color to designate this chromosome because this is males, so the genotype is XY. Defective X chromosome and normal Y chromosome. Could they get this defective X chromosome from their father? Absolutely no, because father genotype, phenotype also would be affected, but also father cannot give to his sons X chromosomes, because father gives only Y chromosome to his sons and X chromosome to his daughter. So genotype of this person is normal X and normal Y chromosome. But mother have to be heterozygous, so have to have one defective X chromosome and one normal X chromosome, because this is recessive genetic disorder, X-linked recessive trait. One normal dominant allele would be enough for this female to have normal phenotype, but this female have to be a carrier, so these two male children were unlikely to get this defective X chromosome and Y chromosome from their father. But as you see, male children also may get this normal chromosome, and chances are 50 to 50%. So when we know genotype of the parents, let's build a Punnett square. So genotype of the father here on the top and genotype of the mother here on the side. So now when we build a Punnett square, we would know probabilities for this couple to have affected children or those who are carriers and unaffected. So here defective X chromosome goes from mother side, normal X chromosome comes from the father side, normal X chromosome here comes from the mother side, and normal X chromosome comes from the father side. And defective X chromosome comes from the mother side, normal Y chromosome comes from the father side, and normal X chromosome from the mother side, and normal Y chromosome from the father side. And as you see, 100% of the female progeny would be phenotypically normal. Those 50% would be carriers, but would be unaffected. As for the male progeny, 50% of the male progeny would be affected and 50% would be unaffected. So what is the probability for this female to be a carrier of this genetic disorder? Because only in this case, when she is a carrier, she might also have affected children of the male sex. So probability would be 50 to 50%. So once again, this is genotype of the father, this is genotype of the mother, and as you see, 50% of the females would be carriers and 50% would be of the normal phenotype. So probability for her to be a carrier would be 1/2. So 1/2 or 50%. And another 50% would be probability that she would be of the normal phenotype. And of course, her husband also have to be of the normal genotype, otherwise he would be affected, and we see that he is not affected. And once again, the same situation when we assume that this female is heterozygous, when we assume that this male is homozygous normal. Actually, we do not say homozygous for male, because males are hemizygous, meaning that males has only one X chromosome and Y chromosome is not a homologous chromosome. This is two different chromosomes and their size are very different. For example, if we would consider that this is the size of the X chromosome, Y chromosome would be about 1/10. So even smaller than what I draw here. And of course, as you see, Y chromosome missing all of the alleles that can be found on the X chromosome, and those alleles that is found on the Y chromosome is not present on the X chromosome. So that's why we call males hemizygous. And of course, even if recessive genetic disorder is present on one of the X chromosomes of the male, because male doesn't have another X chromosome to balance this defective allele, even this recessive genetic disorder in male would manifest itself as dominant. So, once again, if we assume that probability that this female is 50% heterozygous, 50% of her male progeny would be affected. So, once again, 50% that this female is heterozygous, and in this case 50% of her male progeny would be affected. So this gives us an answer that probability for her boys to be affected would be 1/4, and none of her female progeny would be affected, even if we would take into consideration that we know for sure that she is heterozygous. So if even we would know that she is 100% heterozygous, still 100% of her female progeny would be phenotypically normal. And even if we would know that probability here would be 50%, it doesn't affect our calculation of probability for her daughters to be affected with this genetic disorder. It still would be 100%. All her daughters would be phenotypically normal. So as you see, the correct answer would be answer A. 1 in 4 sons we expect to be affected, and close to 0 for daughters. Why we use word close? Because there can be, of course, some small probability of mutation, and if daughter got one defective allele on defective X chromosome, there is still some very small probability that the same allele on the normal X chromosome also would mutate by chance, but because this is very improbable event, we just use a word close to 0 instead of 0. And this is all for today. Thank you for your attention. Please subscribe for my new videos that I post almost every day. Thumbs up if you like this video. Please write your comments, questions if you have any. And see you in the next video. Goodbye.